All right. It's Sunday. I think it's the 29th. It might be the 30th, but yeah, it might be the 30th. I think it's Cora's birthday today. I'm not good with birthdays, and she doesn't talk to me anymore anyway, unless, of course, I say something that she doesn't agree with on her mother's page, but Cora has always been an impressive girl. She's a woman now, actually. She's very, very smart, very, very, very intelligent, and, she's definitely not afraid to say, to speak her mind, which, in that sense, she's a lot like me, because I'm not afraid to tell people what I think. That's not the case in most parts of the world. I've read a few different articles over the years about how Europeans and Africans and South Americans and Asians would come to the United States, and they were always amazed at how open and honest people were in the United States, how they would, openly communicate and talk about things that most of the world won't talk about. And the reason for that is because in the United States, you're allowed to say anything. Even if it was offensive, even if it upset people, you were allowed to say anything. So you could criticize the government, you could criticize doctors, you could criticize lawyers, you could criticize anybody if that's what you wanted to do. And by having that right, by the way, this is my coffee cup, by having that right, Americans had grown to the point where they would openly talk about things. Whereas in, let's say, Cuba, which is a socialist/communist country, everybody's spying on everybody else. You get credit through the government. You get social credit like you do in China, or you did in the former Soviet Union, which is now Russia and Ukraine and a number of other countries. You get government social status by turning in your neighbor, or by, like if you heard that your neighbor was doing something that the government doesn't like, you could call your government and say, hey, the neighbor said that this injection doesn't work, and they'd go and they'd arrest your neighbor and throw him in prison. So nobody talks about anything. Nobody would say anything about anything that was of actual consequence. Nothing, So when people in the United States believe that this thing that we're now getting is somehow progressive, how it's progress. It's not progress, it's regressing. We're regressing to a state that the world has always worked in that you don't talk about anything that's going on in your life, or anything that you're doing in life, or anything that you are doing that might even eventually become something people don't like. So, for example, the this video that I'm making right now could be at some point deemed socially unacceptable, because I'm talking about you not talking about the government. And at some point the government might say, hey, back on the 30th of April 2023, you made a video about how free speech was a good thing, and so you're going to prison. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I've kind of come to the conclusion that that'll probably never happen. If it does, it'll be by God's grace. And, so if they throw me in prison, they throw me in prison. I normally don't listen to the radio. I don't like listening to the music that the media is pushing on people. I like to listen to stuff that, is back when the world actually had freedom of speech and had the ability to, use, verbal tricks to get their point across. And, so I like that stuff that's older, not because I don't like what's new, but anyway, for the last couple of days, because I've got this new cheap crappy car, It's a good car. It's not what I want in any way. It's just going to get me through what I have to get through. But the stereo in the car actually says iPod on it. It's probably been in there since, the mid 90s or something. When I plug my phone into the USB port, it asks for access, and if I say yes or no, it shuts it off, and then it says error, and I have to hit a button twice to get it back to radio, which is all I can listen to is radio. It has an auxiliary port, like a headphone jack kind of port on it, and I haven't tried that yet, but I'm going to. The cigarette lighter in the car doesn't work, so I can't charge my phone in the car, which is a really huge problem for my job. But, because when I get in the car, I need my phone to charge up while I'm between jobs. And I have a little, battery portable charger thing that I'm able to kind of make it work, but then I'm carrying my phone and the charger and the cord while I'm working, and that's a pain in the butt. So I have to fix that. But I'm listening to the radio. I'm actually listening to the radio. And there's only one country station in the Bay Area, and I just happened to come across it. I don't know what the number is. I was just pushing the search until I found a song that I kind of recognized, and it turned out to be the Bay Area country station. But like 4 times yesterday, they played this song that is about a guy comes across a woman who had been beaten by her boyfriend or husband or whatever, and he goes and shoots the guy and ends up in prison for saving her, her life, and or for killing the guy that was beating her up. And I'm kind of shocked by that, because country music's usually not like that. About half the songs that I heard were essentially like twanging rap. It was quite crazy. I'm really pretty in awe of it. But one song was a remake of a song that I'd heard many, many years ago that was a woman, and I can't remember her name. I'm pretty sure she's a black woman, but it was a really, really popular song, and now it's a country song by a guy. And it's pretty good. There's no reason why it couldn't have been remade this way, but the whole thing's very weird to me. It's very strange that country music has gone the way it's gone. It's just twangy pop rap, which I don't know what I think of it yet, and I'm not going to have any choice but to listen to it for a little while until I figure out either how to get another stereo or resolve the problem with plugging my phone into it and using it. But anyway, I bought a new set of tools. I made $200 yesterday, almost $200, like $189, and so I spent $170 on a DeWalt socket set. It's like a 192-piece socket set. It's 3 different socket wrenches. It's got 2 Allen wrench sets. It's got deep well and short sockets, and it's got a bunch of different extensions and U-joint pivots. And there's a top row on the lid that is, I think, like those star wrenches, but that'll show up at the farm on Tuesday, and with that I'll be able to actually do these jobs on people's boats in the marina that I'm going to change the oil on a woman's boat and check her belts and replace her raw water impeller and change her fuel filter. And she just bought this Hunter, I can't remember what the name of it was, a Hunter Cherubini, I think. It's 1 foot shorter boat than mine, and otherwise looks pretty much the same as mine. And it runs good, and she's taken it out and run it around a couple of times, but since she doesn't know when the oil was changed or, when that impeller was changed or when her fuel filter was changed, She just wants to go through it and make sure it's all correct. And I had no choice but to turn down a repair job. My buddy Atta's friend was coming into San Francisco to go up to Napa on his sailboat. I think he was coming from somewhere down by LA. And when they got up to Half Moon Bay, which is just a little south of San Francisco Bay, something major in their engine went bad, and they had oil leaking all over the place. And Atta asked me if I could run down there, but at the time I didn't have I had no way to get down there, and I don't have any tools. So, I said, well, if we can figure out a way to get me over there, and if we can figure out some tools, I'd love to do it because I need the money. But I ended up not being able to do it, and they ended up not having me do it. So it just kind of turned into what it is. I lost money on that. I didn't lose money on the Cherubini boat because she hasn't done it yet. She just said, hey, can you do this? And I said, yes, once I get tools. And I haven't even seen her again since. I think she was there a couple days ago because I saw her hatch open, but I didn't go over and talk to her because it wouldn't have made any difference. I don't have the tools. I need new ball joints on this car. I think they're lower ball joints. And I don't have the tools to work on that either. It's just one of those things. If you don't have any tools, you can't fix it. And so I ordered the tool set. It's like I said, it's Sunday. I think it's the 30th, and I've been going to church every Sunday or watching church online for the last few weeks because of the missing vehicle. But I think I'm going to skip it today, not because I really so much want to, but I really, really need to make the money, and Sunday is always the busiest day of the week. So I'm getting ready to head over to San Francisco. The tipping and the money in San Francisco is much, much higher than the slums of Oakland. Late in the afternoon, I will come back over here like 3:15, 3:30. I'll cross the bridge because the bridge it always clogs up completely. Like you can't move. You can't get over the bridge after 3:30. It just turns into a traffic jam. So I'll get over the bridge, and when I get over here to this side, then I'll do a couple more jobs during the late evening rush, going to Raley's, and I'll run around in Oakland keeping an eye out for my Suburban. I have come across like 6 or 8 Suburbans, Yukon XLs, Tahoes that, from a distance looked like they might have been my truck, but when I got up closer, I could tell they weren't. I know where the dents and dings are. I know where my stickers were, and they would still have like the glue line around the outer edge, most likely. I know what tires were on it. I know where the little dents and dings are. Like there's a quarter panel or fender ding on the front right corner, and there's a small ding right ahead of the bumper in the back. But nothing yet. And so it is what it is. It was really hard for me to go and start working again, and this is why I actually made the video, and I'm just going to end on it, is 2.5 weeks of sitting here doing nothing, worrying about what I was going to do and how I was going to fix this. I literally had kind of a mental hang-up going on. I was on the verge of a breakdown because I couldn't do anything. I felt like my hands were tied behind my back. Seeing Ivy's abscess foot just threw me over the edge, and thank God I got a car that day. If it weren't for that, I would have gone probably crazy by now. But when I finally did have a car, I went out and worked, and it was hard for me to push myself out there to do it. I mean, there's this mental thing in my head that's saying, give up. You lost a year of everything you worked for. Everything you worked to build is gone in the Suburban, and you'll never be able to rebuild it, which is bull, but that's how my brain felt. And when Ivy's abscess showed up, I just went, "Wah!" See you guys.